Wes Really Gucci, yo partner play partner Lush Uno back in effect with another installment. We gonna break down some hip hop history. A lot of people that are familiar with this story that have been around for a while might know, but I feel like as the generations move on, a lot of people might need a refresher in this. The stylistic origins of the melodic double time style, popularized by Bone Thugs and Harmony. Now, Bone Thugs and Harmony, easily one of the greatest groups of hip hop history. I consider them a top 5 group. Catalog is unmatched. They are the greatest export that Cleveland, Ohio has ever had, including the Browns and the Indians by a significant margin. Huge Bone Thugs fan. Shouts to Busy Bone, personal homie of mine. Incredible group, contributions unrivaled, and their output and ultimate success outweighs that of their influence in this regard. However, the imprint of their influence is also one of the most important legacies in hip-hop history. A lot of y'all might not be familiar with, some of y'all may, however, be familiar with the Project Blowed movement. It started as, before it was Project Blowed, it was called The Good Life, which was a health food store that would have a weekly open mic on Crenshaw and Exposition in South Central Los Angeles. And it was an incredible hotbed of stylistic diversity, originality, and just an entire generation in the early 90s and beyond of MCs from Los Angeles, making an imprint that influenced the world. A lot of the styles that were created at this open mic wound up prevailing and existing in different shapes and forms to this day. And a lot of the artists that wound up rocking with them became far more famous and successful than the creators of the styles, as it often is. But the early to mid 90s Los Angeles underground movements is one of the most important and impactful movements in musical history, not just hip hop. I'm putting it up there with jazz in Harlem back in the day in the Harlem Renaissance. I'm putting it up with Seattle and the grunge movement in the 90s. There's very few regions and movements that have been that important to the overall landscape of the culture. So it's important to give all the forefathers over there their respect. Shouts to all the different groups and artists like Hip Hop Clan, Abstract Rude, Freestyle Fellowship, Tumex of Mexican descent. There's so many different stylistic auteurs that came from their R.I.P. Ganja K, and many, many more. Now, Ganja K had an album called The Chronic before Dr. Dre had The Chronic. It had the Chronic logo, the same marijuana leaf logo in it. If you look at the style of Volume 10, popularized on the Pistol Grip Pump song, you can notice the way it changed, the way Ice Cube rapped in subsequent releases, the vocal inflections, all the yay, yay, all that came directly from Volume 10. And I think it's be remiss to have this conversation and not mention the fact that every single label in the game, every single movement was coming to The Good Life. Rappers from Wu-Tang, Fat Joe, Eazy-E, people were going there and either getting booed off stage because they couldn't hang with the level of skill required, or they were using it to scout talent, to A&R and bust moves. Now, we all know Bone Thugs and Harmony comes from Cleveland, Ohio. This is the way Bone Thugs sounded before they moved to LA and were signed and discovered by Eazy-E. Give a glimpse from their first tape called Bone Enterprises.
Satanic verses, but I think the words not your worship me. The gates of hell on fire, shooting flames can't be worse than G. Hell shit, they call me Rip for a reason. I'm on a road to see bloody bodies. Just call me a demon.
Okay, you hear what that sounds like, right? They went to The Good Life when Eazy-E signed them. Now, subsequently, The Good Life wound up becoming Project Blowed afterwards and moved to Lamert Park, 43rd and Crenshaw, over there in the Lamert Park section, and has still to this day is rocking and going crazy and churning out incredible talent all the time. The amount of artists that came through that spot is unimaginable. That's why last year on No Jumper, when there was a conversation with AD and he didn't know what Project Blowed was, I needed to discuss it. But like I said, Eazy-E wound up signing Bone Thugs to Ruthless Records, brought them to The Good Life. Now I'm gonna show you an example of what this little snippet right here, this little 30-second snippet from the song Mary by Freestyle Fellowship created the entire aesthetic that Bone Thugs ran with. Now, granted, they changed the themes and made it a lot more palatable, mainstream. It wasn't as esoteric, wasn't as heady. It was straight gangster music. It was player shit. It was way more relatable to a mass audience. But just listen to the sonic tapestry, listen to the styles. All right? Here's the verse by Micah 9. Pete Micah 9's verse.
Control and never make me go from your soul. Come follow me, each one of me grows and those.
I swear to God, I've heard them say, follow me, follow me. I've literally heard that phrase before.
We gotta be them and show their virtue. Oh, no, it won't hurt you, no. Oh, you're a joint, the point, the wedge, to ignite, get a light, strike, all night, so bright, green back, so who did I get the fast? What is my India's trust? Yeah, yes, this is the best.
Okay, y'all heard it. That's how Freestyle Fellowship, Micah 9 was rapping. Now let's take a look after the influence. How did Bone Thugs sound?
Crime every time, follow me down the 9-9, and you will find all of me kind. Check out the run of a better make hood red. Straight when I make a big grip, when I make click, while I make rope flip.
I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. I think it's pretty clear there is a blatant influence with the double time melodic style that was adopted. Now, Bone Thugs wound up getting in beef with a lot of different artists over this style. Twista, there's a lot of people arguing about the stylistic origins. Twista said he invented chopping. Actually, they call it sniping in Chicago. We call it chopping in the West Coast. And then it wound up getting adopted by Tech Nine, and they took that term chopper to the Midwest and beyond as well. Although the term chopping does originate in LA. There's 3 cities where double time cadences originated. And that's Los Angeles, New York. I'm sorry, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Memphis. Los Angeles, Chicago, and Memphis. However, Bone Thugs is an incredible group. They deserve their flowers. They deserve their respect. But the style clearly evolved from Freestyle Fellowship. It rarely gets acknowledged. I needed to bring that up to y'all. Let me know what y'all think. Am I tripping? Am I on point? Like, share, comment. Let me know what y'all think. All right? Come on now.